Where have all the original games gone? Tonight we try to answer that question with video game agent Seamus Blackley and Sega of America president Simon Jeffrey.
Then we discuss 2 original games, Geist and Darkwatch. They're original, but are they any good?
Plus, we give you a sneak peek at the samurai slasher Genji for the PS2 because G4 TV, the show responsible for delaying the release of Zelda, starts right now.
Do you know how many Nintendo fanboys are going to be camped outside?
When we come in the office. Hey, everybody, welcome to the show that never lags. Now, Jeff, Tina, we just said Zelda is delayed. You're going to have millions of Link fans not happy this Christmas season.
Not coming till as early March, or even April, I think, of 2006, at the earliest.
Yeah, do you want the game early or do you want the game good? I say hold off and get the game when it's great.
I want it great and I want it now.
Amen to that. You know, the other big news this week, guys, was Xbox 360 pricing finally came out. Now, it's $399 for the system if you want a hard drive and backwards compatibility. There is also a core system without the hard drive, without backwards compatibility, for $299. Now, it's kind of expensive, and our topic today is actually going to center on originality in games. So we invited Seamus Blackley, the co-creator of the Xbox and now an agent at CAA, to join us in that discussion. But since we have Seamus on the line, we wanted to ask him his reaction to this pricing strategy. Hey, Seamus, what's up?
How you doing, Jeff?
Good. So $399, that is the most expensive console launch in a decade. Is this shades of 3DO for Microsoft?
No, I think this is shades of the reality of what it costs to put out such high-end equipment now.
Profitably, right? Unlike the Xbox.
Well, everybody, when they launch new hardware, loses money. I mean, I think this is something a lot of gamers know now, but you have to keep it in mind. And in fact, every home electronic device anybody ships, including Sony, DVD players, VHS, TVs, they're loss leaders. So everybody sells them for less than it costs to manufacture, at least initially.
That's right. You make the money up on the games, which is something we're going to be talking about today, original games.
Yeah,
right,
well, let's get to that. You know, it's no secret that there is a lack of, and a major lack of original titles that are on store shelves lately. Here is the proof. Take a look at this. Sequels. All right, number of original properties. Now, this is handheld or console in the top 10 games sold during 2004 in the U.S. Drum roll, please.
Goose egg.
Goose. Bagel.
Wow. Except Halo, but Halo wasn't released last year, so it's not
right. Now let's take a look. Now let's sort of make it a little bit broader. Let's go to the top 50. How many original properties in the top 50? And the drum roll, please. One. Fable.
Fable's the only game.
Yeah, so
that is absurd.
Yeah, so you know we can kind of speculate as journalists and really in gaming enthusiasts, but we want to keep Seamus on the phone, who's a big heavy hitter, and also we got the president of Sega of America, Simon Jeffrey, on the phone to talk a little bit about why this is happening. Now, Simon, in 2004, only 1 out of the top 50 games was an original title. Now, why are we seeing such a lack of original successful titles?
Hi, Tina. Well, I don't know if you can say that 2004 is really sums up where the entire industry is right now. There's no doubt that in 2004, Fable was something of a unique thing, and it was the only successful original title. But I think if you look at 2005 already, we've seen Mercenaries, God of War, Destroy All Humans. We've seen some original titles coming along that are doing really, really well. And I think we're certainly seeing, as we move to the transition of some next-generation consoles, the introduction of Xbox 360, there'll certainly be a lot more consumer demand for original products.
I hope so, but I mean, even looking towards the future, there's like less than half original titles and most are sequels. Now, Seamus, let me ask you, who do you think is ultimately responsible for the lack of original titles available out there for us?
Well, I mean, it's, again, you have to be careful of what you think about as an original title, because if you look at that top 10 list, sequels to original properties are making a lot of money. So the reason that you make original titles is so that you have a long-term revenue stream from a publisher standpoint from an original property. It's called franchise creation. And in every entertainment business, franchise creation is really the core thing that drives the profitability of the business. So in a lot of ways, you're going to see, as Simon points out, a lot of publishers really interested now in starting up those next franchises. What's the next Halo? You know, what are we going to do with God of War now that we have a successful franchise? Right.
Well, I know, Simon, you're betting pretty big on some original properties later this year with Full Auto and Condemned for the Xbox 360. Why decide to do original titles like that and not, just do a bunch of movie licenses and those kind of things?
Well, I completely agree with what Seamus just said. It's all about franchise creation.
Right.
5 years ago, Halo was an original title. Ratchet & Clank, Jak and Daxter, they were original titles. 5 years from now, we'll be looking at Full Auto 3, Condemned 3, and you'll probably be having conversations with other people about where are the original titles. Right. But they were original 5 years ago. And that's just the way the industry evolves and matures.
It's actually the case in Hollywood as well, that as different regimes come into power at different studios and publishers and music labels, there are people who take bets on original properties and create franchises, and then 2 or 3 years later, there are other people maybe in charge who are not in that mindset.
But how is the industry doing? I mean, are we creating enough original properties? I mean, Simon's doing some. Seamus, you've been an advocate for, Tim Schafer and Psychonauts, Lauren Lanning, Oddworld. I mean, is it tough to get these original properties made, though? Tougher than it should be?
Over to the publisher.
Okay. Simon?
Yeah, well, it's certainly tougher to, when you're looking at a return of investment and profit and loss analyses and all those things, yeah, it's certainly tougher to create original titles in the first place. But as we've been talking about, the big bet is in the long term, in not the title being a one-off, but in there being franchises and sequels that come out of it. And that's what the creation of original properties is really all about, rather than just making one-offs.
Yeah, there's a skill. People talk about, the movie business being a more mature medium, and I think that there's a skill set about managing your risk, like taking the right bets, smart bets on cool stuff.
Are we seeing less risk because there's so much money now in video games? Are video gamers and game makers getting very big, greedy eyes, is what I'm asking.
Are you a greedy man?
Are you a greedy man, Simon?
Well, personally, Simon is, but the industry-wide.
Thanks, Seamus. Well, like every industry, like every business, like every company, everyone has to look at the bottom line, because if companies lose money, then they go out of business. If the industry overall is not able to generate profits, then the industry will disappear. None of us obviously wants that, because this is a nice place to work.
Yes, it is.
Well, excellent. Well, it's a good balance, I think, between original stuff and sequels, franchise creation, and we hope there are more original games coming soon, and you guys are two great advocates for it, so thanks.
Yeah, thank
you guys so much. We appreciate it. All right, now for those looking forward to an original title in the near future, you will have over 100 to choose from. Here we have in the upcoming 2005. But for those into sequels, you got over 260 to choose from. So like those guys said, this is a business. Yeah. It's not just a creative place where people can go and spend $1 billion and do what they want to do. Here's some of the upcoming titles.
The question is, how are these going to sell? There are going to be a lot of them that are coming out, but are they going to be big? Is Fear going to be big? Gun from Activision and Neversoft, they're really pushing that.
Absolutely.
Are they going to deliver big numbers, or are they going to, go out and fail, and the publishers won't want to?
Yeah, it's a great question.
We got some fabulous new franchises coming this way. All right, guys, the originality continues when we come back. We're going to talk Angry Outlaws and Dark Watch and Possessing Janitors. And guys, stay on the other side.
They're original. Did we like them?
That's right. Are the original?
I'm Kristen Holt, and yes, I have a funniest, fondest, and scariest moment that's all the same when I shot Blair on the Saw parody. I had just met Blair. It was literally like, oh, hi, Blair, I'm Kristen Holt. Bam! Shot me! Like, that's what happened.
I just found out that Zelda isn't going to come out in 3 months. It's going to come out in 7. Come on, Nintendo. You have, nothing coming out this year. Put out a game that's actually, good.
Hey, Laura, I just saw you on The Weakest Link. I didn't know you were a contestant on there. That's so awesome.
What's your guys' take on the remake of Final Fantasy VII for the PlayStation 3?
Here we go.
Well, we talk about the Final Fantasy VII. They've actually been showing that as a tech demo, but they keep saying it's only a tech demo, it's only a tech demo, but I guess they just, apparently, rumor has it they recently showed it in Japan, and they didn't say it was a tech demo, so it looks like we're probably going to get Final Fantasy VII on the PS3, but who knows, But we'll get, we'll keep you up to date.
Keep it posted.
Yeah, you are the weakest link, my friend.
Yeah, I was short on cash, and I figured I'd just win a lot of money on a video game show, or talk show, and it
didn't work out so well.
Didn't work out. I was the weakest link. Anyway, welcome back to the show. Now, we've been talking about originality in games, so let's take a look at 2 big recent releases, Dark Watch and Geist. Now, here we've got 2 original titles, but I got to tell you, I didn't find anything original or innovative in either one. I mean, Dark Watch is really just the same level over and over again. Nothing original there. No new bosses or anything.
But a great title sequence from Kyle.
Great title sequence. And guys, I gotta tell you, it just annoyed the hell out of me. The possessing thing was cute, but at the end it just became more of a nuisance than like a pleasure.
It was so cool to play a rat.
For the first time.
So you just want more sequels? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
You just want Halo 4, Halo 5?
I want good original games, and I don't think either one of these.
Like Oddworld, right?
Yeah.
Oddworld.
That's done really well.
That's right.
That's a good game and a great franchise.
You know what? Everything's not going to be American Beauty. Everything's not going to be cast. It's like we're going to get mediocre, good, entertaining games. These were both fun, first-person shooters that had a little bit of stuff we hadn't quite seen before.
What have you not seen? Possessing?
Well, the possessing thing was you got to play the pinball
Possessing was in
machine.
Messiah. I think the thing is that these games are, the question is, do you respect the originality and do you support this game because, they're just new IPs? I think the question is, it's a good question about originality. Is it, is it just original because it's a new title and a new storyline, or is there real original gameplay and how you
at
actually
least
play?
DICE went out on a limb a little bit, and there is some originality in that. But let me tell you that Darkwatch had nothing. I mean, have you never shot,
What about the
zombies
double
before?
jump? A double jump in a first-person shooter. That's new, right?
It wasn't even the jump. He's like flying, and it looks all funny.
I understand what you're saying, but you can't expect something brand new in every video game that comes out, just like you don't do it in the movies, just like you don't do it in television. It's like one is going to come along that's going to be great, like Psychonauts, every once in a while, but you're not going to get it every time. If that's what you're looking for, you're never going to be happy.
Well, gosh, man, Jesus, I agree with you. I'm just saying I was disappointed. I wanted a fun Western vampire shooter. Like, the premise is awesome. And Darkwatch just didn't go through. Well, all right, but enough about us. Let's take a call from our good friend and executive editor at Game Informer magazine, Andrew Reiner. Andrew, let's start with Darkwatch. And what's your take on this game in terms of originality and, overall gameplay?
Hey, guys.
Hey, what's up?
I guess when I first started going through it, I felt that it was a pretty standard shooter. But early on in that first stage, you watch your main character, Jericho Cross, kind of tear into his own horse, give into his vampiric temptations, and he just starts feasting on it. It's at that point that you realize that this is going to be a much different ride. And it was a ride I actually enjoyed.
I agree with you, Andrew.
So do you respect it as a game, because of its originality, or you think it's compared to other shooters, how do you think it compares, the Halo?
Compared to other shooters, gameplay-wise, it's, a typical shooter.
Right.
Yeah, your weapons look like something, like Eddie from Iron Maiden wouldn't mind playing around with, but in actuality, they're just, it's another shotgun. Right. Another sniper rifle.
And horseback riding. We always love the horseback riding.
We thought Zelda was going to have the only horseback
I'd like
riding.
to demonstrate the horseback riding. When you're on the horse, you can literally spin around and do a 360, and it's fine. It's totally cool. It's successful. Apparently, vampires are very flexible.
Well, let's talk about Geist. What about that, Andrew?
Geist, I was kind of hoping Nintendo would pull another rabbit out of its hat like they did with Eternal Darkness.
I love that Eternal Darkness. That was such a great game. This was another mature one, but so you're saying, Reiner, obviously it didn't quite live up to Eternal Darkness?
It didn't. Obviously it brought a new gameplay mechanic to the table, but
you say new.
Fully
Now
realized.
this is, it was in Messiah. Shine did that a few years ago, the Possession. Do you say it's new just because it hasn't been seen sort of on GameCube before? Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. It's something GameCube fans haven't seen yet, and I just didn't think it delivered the thrills that that everybody kind of hoped it would.
I agree with you. And to me, the possessing made no sense. Like, I'm all in favor of trying to figure out puzzles and games. I love it. But like I was talking to you earlier, when you want to possess the dog, apparently exploding things next to his head doesn't scare the dog. You have to possess the food and shake. And that just frightens the hell out of the poor pup.
All right, last thing, the $2.99 Xbox or the $3.99? Which one are you going to get?
$3.99. I have an HD TV, so.
All the bells and whistles
Good stuff. All right, thanks, Ryan. Thanks for calling in.
All right, you're going to want to return because we not only have an original guest coming up after the break, but an original game as well. We're talking about the hack and slash ways of the samurai with Genji.
This is a game I can
It's
play.
original, but based off the
Your question.
Hi everyone, you're watching G4 Rerun. My name is Brian. You may know me as Nuxonic. When did you first discover G4?
I first discovered G4 on a Pringles can actually in like 6th grade. Because I opened it up and it said right on the top G4 TV for gamers, and I got really interested in it right then.
I first seen G4 probably about a year and a half ago when I first got Dish TV.
All right, we're back and turning our attention to a brand new game franchise. Now, although it may sound original, it's actually based on the Tale of Genji, which is widely regarded as the world's first novel. It was written in Japan in the early 11th century as a romantic story to entertain Japanese women. Well, the game is a little bit different, of course. It's a samurai slasher for the PS2. And Kyle Schubel, the producer from Sony, is here to tell us about the game, not the romance. Right?
No, definitely not.
Now, Kyle, we've been talking about original games on this show, so I wanted to ask you, first of all, why do you think there's so few original games out there?
Well, it's unfortunately, comes down to dollars and cents. It's a bit of risk mitigation. I mean, it costs so much to make a good video game now. You kind of want to stick with what you know. And if you've got an installed fan base, you got an installed...
But Sony's done a lot of... I mean, I look at the franchises Sony's done for PS2 with SOCOM, Ratchet, Jack, God of War. I mean, they've been really investing heavily in original titles. Why is that?
Well, you know, Sony believes in this medium as the future, and really we like to kind of take some chances. And, you know, when you see something great that's going to increase the art form, you got to kind of grab it and run with it.
Well, Genji, I think, looks at a very artistic game. Now, this is the base, as I mentioned, a 1,000-year-old, 1,000-page book, a romance novel. I mean, that sounds a little weird to take to a game. Is the game going to be a little less boring than this long novel?
The game is definitely going to take a serious departure from the story. You know, you basically, the Tale of Genji was 80% about, you know, sex, romance, 15% about music and poetry, and then 5% about, you know, fighting and politics. So
what about the actual gameplay? I mean, what's original about sort of the way you actually play this game? Because it's, you know, Mr. Okamoto, who has done, you know, Onimusha, it's a similar sort of style of gameplay, right?
It's got a vaguely similar, you know, you do have a lot of sword fighting aspects, you know, digging in, you know, doing the usual samurai gig. But one of the things that we really focused on Genji, Dawn of the Samurai, is the aspect of tate, which is the inner relationship between the person swinging and the person being hit. And that's something that you generally would only see in cinematics. You know, why do we like, you know, samurai films? Why do we like going to see Kurosawa films and Kill Bill? You want to watch people...
The artistry of that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Now, it's interesting that, you know, Mr. Okamoto, who had done Onimusha, did this game, was when we were looking at the opening cinematic for this game, it's amazing, actually, how similar it is to Onimusha. We actually have a side-by-side here where you can actually see, it looks like it's almost shot-by-shot, a remake of the original Onimusha. Is that, did you know this? I mean, it's still surprising to me, but...
Well, it's, you know, Okamoto-san has a certain style to him, and he definitely is the creative visionary on both titles. So I think you're just getting a little bit of the similar feel that he really enjoyed about the first, you know, Onimusha, and also going into this.
Well, it's epic, and this is interesting for you to be doing sort of this epic game because, you know, I look back at your history. You worked on a game here, which is amazing. It's Boogerman, a pick-and-flick adventure.
Pick-and-flick adventure.
You've come a long way, Kyle.
Yeah, well, you know.
How did that influence your work on this game? Is there anything from Boogerman that helped you with this game?
You got to carry over some of the fighting styles from each one of your games, you know, and Boogerman definitely had some interesting style to it, but no, just the transition through your career in this industry can definitely take you down some odd paths.
Well, you're on a great one now. Now, Tina is actually playing the game.
We
Tina,
know Jeff actually worked on E.T. as well.
There we go.
Well, I know the game's out in Japan, but I'm very curious about the difference between how, you know, the Japanese version and the American version.
Well, one of the things we really want to stay true to was the Japanese feel of the game. So we kept the Japanese voiceover. We just put English subtitles in, and we tried to stay as true to the story and the translation. But on top of that, when we kind of looked at it, it's a sword fighting game. ESRB, love them. Not ever going to say anything bad about it. But
not like David Jaffe.
Hey, you know. But it was just one of those things where we kind of had a feeling we're going to get an M on this title. And, you know, it's sword fighting. You're going to have blood. You're going to have the laundry list of things. So when we realized we were going to get that, we kind of embraced that. For Japan, they actually were able to target they have a different scale. For us to be able to get a T, we had to take out 60 to 70% of our death animations and lose a lot of the aspects of the fighting. So when we went, okay, we're an M, we went and embraced it and cranked that scale out to the top. So now you've got the full spread of animations and such that can happen in the game. So
right. So it's interesting that, you know, we always talk about the violence. So you guys actually just pushed the envelope as far as you could to keep the M and not
AO, right? No.
Well, I don't know. I'm kind of doing a little hacking here. I'm thinking the samurai's getting busy on the side here.
Well, there's that.
Very funny. Laura, you've been talking to everybody in chat about the game. What
chat and the message boards. Raw Beef wants to know, what sets it apart from other games similar to it, like Dynasty Warriors?
Well, you've got a strong story aspect to this one. It actually is based in reality. You know, when you look back at the Japanese history of it, the Tale of Genji was mostly based in reality. It was a colorful tale about things. So the minutiae is the only thing that really changed. We tried to stay somewhat true to the era. Trust me, the story's taken some serious deviations, you know, when you start adding in magical stones and demons running around. But it's basically, I think, the story-driven aspect and the depth in the combat system.
Now, is there RPG elements as well, or is it straight hack and slash?
There are RPG elements. Your character does level up. You can upgrade your weapons. You also find the essence of Amahagane, which are small chips of that magical stone I talked about, that basically you can use those to enhance your character. And that's actually personal customization. That's not just, oh, I found 3 of them, I get this. No, it's like, oh, I want to be better at attack, defense or health.
Cool. Very cool.
What's this thing I'm fighting right here, Kyle? Can you...
That is Nue. He's one of the Act 1 bosses. He's a tiger, scorpion, demon thingy.
He's an original creature
and
from an original game.
Tina's just about the best.
Well, come on now. I just leveled up. Give me
All right.
some,
Well, thank you, Kyle.
Cool,
We're out of
thanks, Kyle.
time. Thanks for coming down. And you at home, if you like big boobs and tennis, then you're not going to want to go anywhere because Tina's going to give us both those things right after this. Tina, you give so much for the
Wow.
show. You're so good.
I appreciate that.
If you like small boobs and blonde hair, you can do it.
Okay. All right, if you always wanted a dog but were too lazy to walk it or maybe too cheap to feed it, never fear. Nintendogs is here. We'll find out if it's all bark or actually got some bite next week.
So cute.
It's so cute and so much fun, that game. But we have to wait till next week to see how we really
I have a
feel.
real dog.
All right, well, now it's time for our hot and fresh new game presented by Domino's. I love how the Domino's spins like that.
Got some hot and fresh.
All right, I decided to slap your way a little outlawed tennis.
Whoa.
Okay, I played this on the Xbox. You guys, the game actually has surprisingly responsive controls for a tennis game. It's not quite Virtua Tennis.
That's what I was going to ask.
No, but definitely not bad at all. You got 7 different match modes to choose from. Of course, hot potato. Who doesn't want to play baseball and football when they're playing a tennis game? You got 16 eccentric or eclectic characters to choose from. I love Killer Miller. He's kind of my favorite. He's sort
That
of
jiggle technology.
a little jiggle technology. You got head-to-head online play. There's a new fighting
Look at
system.
that I love him.
There's a new fighting system. You actually get to beat the crap out of each other, which is pretty cool. And there's licensed music, none of which I've actually heard before.
Right.
But still not bad for a soundtrack. But again, the fighting system, now it's not dead or alive, but the game is a lot of fun if you want to pick it up. Yeah. Someone comes over, a little bit of online play, and you know what the best thing about this game is? It's $19.99.
I love the outlaw games. I think they're all fun.
Love the low price games. Cliffy B would be happy.
Yes, he
exactly.
would be.
All right, guys. Well, that wraps it up for this week. We want to thank all 4 of our guests, and thanks to you guys at home for watching. Now, remember to visit G4TVTheShow.com for more information. Most importantly, keep supporting those original creative games. See you guys next week.
That's right.
That's right.
Can't complain
Got
if you're not
support
out buying them.
You got to shop at the mom
Very
and pop
important.
store.
Yes.
Buy original games. Crush
If only more people would have bought Oddworld.
Exactly.
Yes.
Then Munch would still be with us.
You people are afraid.